Welcome back, football fans, to another episode of the Prediction Show. In this one, it is Champions League Game Week 5 for Tuesday, the 25th of November. Let's take a quick look at the fixtures taking place tonight, and then we'll jump in with some key insights, metrics, player data, referee data, and much more. We can see Ajax against Benfica, a bit of turmoil at Ajax at the moment, and a big game for Benfica and Jose Mourinho. They have had a very tricky run in the Champions League so far this season. Galatasaray are at home against Union Saint-Gilloise. Probably murdered the pronunciation of that. A team that I won't murder the pronunciation of because it's pretty easy is Borussia Dortmund hosting Villarreal. That's got potential to be a pretty good game. Chelsea against Barcelona. It's the game of the night, isn't it? I think Man City by Leverkusen is a close second. One of those games where you think it could be close, but in the end, City will probably win 3 or 4-1. Napoli against Qarabag. Napoli should be expected to win that one, but Qarabag can be a tricky customer, as they've shown already this season. Marseille against Newcastle. I've changed my mind. This could be the game of the night, and we'll see why when we check Marseille's form. They are absolutely smashing in the goals at the moment. Slavia Praha against Athletic Bilbao. I have very little to say about that fixture. And Bodo Glimt, one of my favourite teams in and around Europe over the last few years, they are hosting Juventus. A big game for them. Right, before we get stuck in with the key metrics and key data, let's take a look at the league table. So here's the league table. Bayern Munich, Arsenal and Inter Milan, all with 100% records. Arsenal, they look really good this year, don't they? What a win for them against Spurs at the weekend. And more questions for Thomas Frank, but that is a conversation for the next episode of the Prediction Show, potentially. Bayern Munich also absolutely smashing it this season. Officially the best ever start to a Bundesliga, breaking their own record, of course, and they've not made a bad start at all in the Champions League. 4 wins out of 4, much like Inter Milan, who have had good periods, good campaigns in the Champions League in recent years, but they just can't get over the line when it matters. They lost to Manchester City, of course, in the final, who are just beneath them. PSG with the 1 defeat, last year's champions. And if we scroll down a little bit to the bottom of this list, we do have teams like Napoli, Marseille with just 1 victory, Juventus with 3 draws. Athletic Bilbao, a similar story, and then we've got teams like Bodo Glimt without a win, Villarreal without a win, and then right at the bottom, just behind my chair, Benfica and Ajax, who face off tonight. This is a massive game. Let's start there. Without further ado, let's get into it. So my heart says Jose, and the bookies agree, but it's still a decent price if you think they can get over the line and get that first victory against, as I mentioned in the intro, an Ajax team that has seen better days, let's say. I think they're still hunting for a manager. Over evens is the best price you'll get for Benfica to win this one, and the price is as low as 1.86 with 10 bet. Let's take a look at the form of both of these teams. Now, there is a disparity in terms of the data for the Champions League only. Ajax have scored once in this campaign. Benfica have scored 7, but Benfica have played qualifying games as well, so important to keep that in mind. But still, the goals conceded per game, 3.5 compared to just 1 for Benfica. Now, of course, Mourinho took over after that first defeat to Qarabag. I told you that they can be tricky customers. Chelsea defeat. Back at Chelsea, narrow defeat. Newcastle, they were outplayed in that game, to be fair. Newcastle scored some excellent goals in that fixture. And then the home defeat to Leverkusen, that is a big one, and potentially will be when they come to the end of this Champions League campaign and they look back at these results. But tonight is another big chance to get 3 points, and if they want to get into the playoff spot, and in the playoff spot, with a Jose Mourinho side, anything is possible, but they need this game, I think, to get in there. They've got tougher games to come. Their fixture list in this competition is pretty grim if you're a Benfica fan. But not as grim as Ajax's form in the competition thus far. They've conceded 2, 4, 5 and 3. Fair enough, they've played Marseille, Chelsea and Galatasaray and Inter Milan. That is some run, to be fair. But it doesn't get much better than that if you look at their domestic form. They've lost the last couple of games. They are conceding goals in pretty much every game they played. Their last clean sheet came in August. And now from the AI Football predictions page for the same game, we have an insight here which actually has 9 upvotes, including my own. Ajax have shipped 25 goals in their last 10 games, with heavy 2+ goal defeats in 4 of those games, whilst Benfica have conceded just 8 in the last 10, 0.5 per game across the last 10 away games, with 7 clean sheets. So defensively, much better, of course. They're playing in a different league. You have to weigh up the different competitions when you put teams together in the Champions League. I may be tempted for double chance or draw no bet. Let me know what you think in the comments. Can Jose Mourinho get his first win in the Champions League at his new club? Or will Ajax turn it around? Because at the moment, it's looking pretty dreadful. Just a quick one, if you are enjoying this, hit like and subscribe. 1,000 likes on this video and I'll be back here tomorrow for Wednesday's games. Okay, enough about that, back to the video. So from one European city in Amsterdam to another, Marseille. Marseille are in good form in Ligue 1, but they haven't really transferred that form to the Champions League. 3 defeats out of 4, but they have scored in 3 of those games. The Atalanta defeat at home will have come as a bit of a shock to them. That will have been one that they earmarked, I think, for a victory. Same goes with Sporting away, to be honest. At least a point they would have expected, because when you watch them and you watch their highlights, they are scoring some great goals, playing some great football under the Zebri, as we saw at Brighton as well. And you would think that he has an edge maybe in these types of games because he has managed in the Premier League in terms of preparing for facing English opposition. Man City come into this after a very impressive victory against Man City. They held on well, all goals coming in the second half. And they've had goals in the second half in the majority of their games, actually. That could be something to watch out for tonight. So on the AI Football predictions side of thing, again, link in the description. This is the bespoke Champions League page for it. We get a bit of an insight into Marseille's home form. 7-2-1 is their last 10 at home, scoring 2.9 goals per game and winning 4 of those games 2-0. Newcastle are 6-0-4 in terms of their last 10 with 5 clean sheets. Very good defensively, Newcastle, but I think they will be tested in this one. Certainly will be tested, and we can see that Marseille to win is a value bet with 35.9% edge. Let's take a look at the odds for this one. So it is 3s for Marseille to score in this game. That is pretty interesting, isn't it? And they are scoring for fun. As we saw, we can see their home form. They've scored 6-4, 1-4, 5-4, 4-5-3. Sounds like I'm reeling off someone's phone number, doesn't it? I think it's a tough game to call this one, but I am going to go with BTTS, and we will continue to build this slip as we cover a few different games and pages and tools. BTTS 1.57, 1.53 for this selection, which I added for the Benfica game. Benfica or draw, and both teams to receive a card, 2.4 at this moment in time. Next, we're going to check out the football form guide. So looking at the football form guide, we can see total goals, Barcelona 30. This is goals scored and conceded, of course. Chelsea 20 in the same period. We are looking at the last 6 games overall. PSV with 29 in their last 6 games. Liverpool just 17. This isn't goals scored, of course. 3 of those 17 were scored by Nottingham Forest at the weekend. What a victory, and what is going wrong at the minute at Liverpool? It is a difficult situation, to say the least. Okay, let's take a look at some other metrics. Goals scored, worrying for Liverpool, 21 in the last 6. This is not a game that's being played tonight, but just interesting to earmark, isn't it, for tomorrow. Liverpool 5 goals in their last 6 games. A team that is playing tonight is Bayer Leverkusen, 16 goals. They're playing away at Manchester City. Can they get a goal against Manchester City, former Champions League champions, of course? Villarreal at Dortmund. Villarreal have scored double the number of goals in the same period. That is an interesting one. Villarreal looking for their first victory in the Champions League. Can they get it? Let's take a quick look at the recent form of both of those teams. So when we look across the last 25 games, we can see the average goals per game 3.61 and 3, which is nice if you're going for overs. It is Dortmund that have scored more goals, 69 compared to 58. In terms of conceding goals, though, Dortmund are also conceding more than Villarreal. Let's have a look at cards, shall we? Villarreal receiving much more in terms of cards, 2.1 per game. Let's have a look at the opponents' cards. It is, again, Dortmund's opponents receiving more cards. They have both received a card in 87% of their last 25 games, so across this period. And in the Champions League so far, Dortmund will be happy with their results. I think a draw with Juventus, 4-4, 4-1, 4-2, and then 4-1 again. There's goals galore in Dortmund's games at the moment, isn't there? And for Villarreal, they have scored in just one of those games. Pathos FC. Well done. I tip my hat to you, my invisible hat, because that is a very good win against Villarreal. And again, like we've seen with a few teams that are playing tonight, Ajax, Benfica, put Villarreal into that corner because this is massive for them. So as you might expect, the odds for goals are quite short. Villarreal to score 1.36, so the bookie's expecting goals in this one. I'm actually going to go with something here. Villarreal to get the most cards at 1.72. This takes this to 4.16. So, I mean, it's already looking pretty good. You know that I don't really like to make the odds too big because it's important to have probability on your side. But let's take a quick look at the football form guide and then another look at the AI football predictions page to see if there's any insights that we may have missed for tonight's Champions League games. In terms of XG4, so XG per 90 minutes across the last 6 games, Galatasaray leading the charts, followed by Real Madrid and Barcelona. Villarreal with 2.21. That is interesting, isn't it? So BTTS, if you are putting it on, you can have confidence that Villarreal are creating chances at this moment in time across the last 6 games. So domestically, you can go and check their data. Maybe they are scoring. We can quickly check it because we have the game still open here. They are in pretty good form, aren't they? But their Champions League form is not mimicking the La Liga form at the moment. But clearly, at this moment in time, they are creating good chances. Over 2 XG per game, which puts them 4th across all Champions League teams. And XG against, look away, Ajax fans, continue to look away because you are top of this list. Newcastle United also there as well, 1.81. Tottenham also there, and the usual suspects at the bottom, Arsenal, etc. BTTS, Ajax 5, Barcelona 5, PSV 5, Liverpool over 2.5, and BTTS an early shout for that game. If you want to see predictions for that game, of course, 1,000 likes is the target. Let's look at second half goals again. PSV top of the list. Now looking at goals scored in the second half, PSV 11 compared to Liverpool's 3, Bodo Glimt 10 compared to Juventus's 3, Benfica 10 compared to Ajax's 5, Union Saint-Gilloise 10 compared to the 9 of Galatasaray, so pretty close there, but some interesting options certainly. Most goals second half, over 2.5, and BTTS for PSV. PSV appearing on a lot of these lists near the top. Look like a very exciting team at the moment. Bodo Glimt against Juventus. I never ever want to mark down and reject the chances of Bodo Glimt because I always have a good time when I watch them play football. Certainly in the last few years they've been really exciting. It's good to see them in the Champions League and it's not an easy place to go. Let's take a look at the data. So before we take a look at the form and the odds for this game, we can also just lean on the AI football predictions page, link in the description if you want to check this out. Bodo Glimt have hit 25 goals in their last 10 games, whilst Juventus have managed just 9 and failed to score in 5 of those games. This model makes Bodo Glimt 55.1% favourites versus the implied odds of 31%. So the home win is a value bet with the OddAlerts probability model. 78% value. Bodo Glimt, can they pull off what would be a famous win for them? I am going to upvote that one because, yeah, that is a great insight. And now let's take a look. Fortress in the Arctic. Glimt's home edge. 7-1 in their last 10 home games, averaging 3.4 goals scored and 4 clean sheets. They have won 5 of those games by 2+ goals. Juventus as we saw, not scoring for fun at the moment, so this will be a big test for them. I am going to go with a Bodo Glimt second half goal, 1.66. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Also, if you're in the Discord, oddalerts.com/Discord, link in the description. I'm going to be posting a few more insights and predictions for a couple of games, bet builders, specific game bet builders, including player props and stuff like that. So I just don't have enough time to add it onto this video, which is already a bit long. Bodo Glimt against Juventus, second half goal for the home side. Borussia Dortmund against Villarreal. Villarreal to have the most cards. Marseille against Newcastle, 1.57. Ajax against Benfica. Benfica or draw, and both teams to receive a card. It is 6.93. Let me know in the comments which would you remove from this to narrow it down a little bit. I am going to take the Benfica selection off just because I still actually do believe that this will come in, but it's the early game, isn't it? So if we remove this one, we get 4.52. BTTS in Marseille, Newcastle, Borussia Dortmund versus Villarreal, and then Bodo Glimt against Juventus, 4.52. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hit like, hit subscribe, and 1,000 likes is the target once more if you want to see a video tomorrow.